Good Friday morning, Quad Cities. We are tracking a lot ahead on the weather docket here as we end the work week. Not only do we have the excessive heat and humidity, but now an increasing threat of seeing some damaging thunderstorms later on today into this evening. Let's start with the heat. A reminder that an excessive heat warning continues for the Quad Cities through 9 o'clock tonight. Further to the north, you've got a heat advisory that will also expire 9 o'clock this evening. So here's the update on the severe weather. It's now a 3 out of 5 on the threat track scale for the immediate Quad Cities, areas along and north of Interstate 80. And I do agree with this. I think this is going to be really the storm zone tonight that could have some really strong winds with it. Looking at the damaging wind potential, that's our greatest concern this evening. It's in the very likely category where you're seeing the darker blue here. So this is going to be the main event to watch, especially in terms of these storms coming in after dark as well. That could make them a little bit more dangerous. So let's put the threat track scale on here because you see the damaging wind is our biggest threat. Then we talk about hail. But remember, it is so hot, so humid. Hail production, getting it to the ground is kind of a challenge in this environment. Tornado threat, it's not zero. It is isolated and it is certainly there. If any storm can interact with a boundary, that could produce a localized tornado threat heading into this evening. But again, the biggest concern right here, that's the damaging wind gusts. So let's go through future track, put things into motion this afternoon. It's sunny, it is hot, it is humid. We're going up to the upper 90s again, and building in all of that storm energy means big things can happen with storms tonight. And there you see it, explosive development to the north of us after the 5-6 o'clock hour, racing to the south and to the east. And we're still seeing within the model here some of those bowing segments, which means very strong winds right here in the Quad Cities between 7 and 8 o'clock this evening. That will move to the southeast, and we may see another wave try and develop behind that right around the 9 o'clock hour. But by the time we get to midnight, the storm threats will be winding down. A reminder of what the Bix has in store for you tomorrow. Not much change on this. Can't rule out an isolated shower storm to start, but the main story will be the warmth and the humidity because it will feel like 80 degrees by the time the race gets underway. If you're planning on sticking around for the after party festivities, stay hydrated. Make sure you've got more than alcohol in your can or cup, whatever you're drinking. You want to have some water too because it will feel like 90 by the time we head into the late morning. How about some weather history? This was actually kind of fun to look up. All of the last Saturdays in July since the Bix began. It will not be the hottest, by the way. That was back in 1987. But it will be one of the warmer starts. The warmest start that I found was back in 1997. The race started with 83 degrees as a temperature. That's in red. This year is what we're forecasting for 2023. And notice it's not far behind some of the warmth that we had back in that very hot and humid year of 1997. Kind of interesting to look back at that. So we'll keep an eye on the strong storms this afternoon and evening. Of course, we've got you covered. We'll track those for you. Make sure you've got the News 8 app and the Storm Track 8 app for those. We'll track in less humidity by Sunday. That's your weekend's best. Enjoy that because it will be back with another vengeance. More 90s, more heat, more humidity, and storms by the middle part of next week.